I don't know if it's worth our while spending too much time trying to bring people back to reality.
Yep.
I like that. I think is a good thing for, you to do with your friends.
Exactly.
And with your family. And, maybe you'll have a 10% success rate. But as a political matter, what we need to do is make sure that those 20 million people who didn't go out to vote next time around, and make sure that that number is bigger. And make sure that the people who, voted for Trump, but don't necessarily subscribe to a completely different world reality, also next time have reason to vote for the person running against them.
And then you have to stand. That means you have to create an alternative vision and advocate what you stand for. Like, it was the Biden leadership vacuum in many ways, the lack of communication, the incongruity of it, and then of course the Gaza genocide, where that's a good example of where Kamala Harris's failure to distance herself from Biden in those days. Who knows if that would have made a difference, but I definitely think it would have benefited her at the very least. It would have been closer. You see how, we can say until we're blue in the face, and we did, at least I did, Phil Gordon better than the neocons that Trump's going to bring in. Trump's getting $100 million from Miriam Adelson. Kamala Harris, she would have been better. She wouldn't have said that we're going to just seize control of Gaza and we're going to build hotel casinos on it. I think we can be factual about that. That wouldn't have happened. But we can say that a million times over. Everybody that's paying attention to this show is already highly engaged. It's not on, we could have screamed this every day until we were blue in the face and it wouldn't have made a difference, because it's on the Democrats to draw a contrast. And the fact that they were unwilling to break from the Israel lobby is why they couldn't draw that contrast, and it falls on them. It falls on them.
They chose arming a genocide over winning an election.
Yeah.
That's just what happened, and that's what history will show. And all the people saying, what about this, about Dearborn voters? Those people are actually, don't be defensive about those people. Dogpile them, because they're the ones that should be chased out of the party.
And you can wish and try to wish into existence that millions of people paid attention to the nuances that I describe. But what's a more expedient way to change the world is not to shame those folks, but to demand more of the Democrats.
Sorry. Personnel promises for an incoming administration when you're banning Palestinians from speaking at your convention is just never going to be even close.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that if there was going to be, and certainly, look, I think we were very consistent and said that, that at the very least, there's a 1% chance that Harris is going to be better for the Palestinian people than Donald Trump. That would be sufficient in that argument. But it is very hard to make that argument when you are outwardly showing when you're sending Richie Torres to Michigan, you're sending Bill Clinton to Michigan for people to believe that argument. I happen to believe that, but and even I was like, what the F are they doing?
Exactly.
And so it's.
The level of engagement with news that would require people to understand that is so unrealistic. And frankly, not even that clear, because the actions of the administration were not demonstrating it. And it's that, frankly, it falls on Harris for not distancing herself from Biden. But this is Biden. This was his ideology of Zionism and his decades in the Senate, leadership on this front. He's believed in this consistently his whole career, and his brain wasn't working, and he just let the West exec crew and Hochstein and McGurk and all those folks just run the show, and we saw what happened. So,
Stephen Alaska says, so is Trump worse? Look, technically right now,
I don't know if you can say that.
I don't know if you can say that. I know that the amount of of Palestinians in Gaza are dying today is less than it was during the Biden administration.
Some USAID's getting through to him finally.
Do I think that ultimately Trump is going to be worse than Harris? You know, Harris was also a hypothetical.
Yeah.
And I will say,
all we were
I have
going
pretty
against
negative
was
prognosis of what I think she would have done.
But Obama stood up to Netanyahu with the Iran deal. Like, it's possible that Democrats would do it. It's not possible
But the circumstances
that
have
Republicans
to align again. Like, I agree, but I just want to say, like, I think even I was saying it was worth voting for Harris over Trump, even if you said a null difference, because I think that's frankly the safest thing to credibly promise. Because I wouldn't predict any backbone from Harris on this. I don't even know if she would have secured the ceasefire, but
who knows? But the ceasefire theoretically would have started before that she got in. But
the
who knows?
ceasefire started, and there's a massacre in Jenin right now. I mean, we're not talking much about that, but like, Trump has greenlit the West Bank, and they've now likely is going to greenlit some annexation of the West Bank. And there's slaughter all over the place right now. They've killed at least like dozens of people since the ceasefire started. So.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that his whole thing is just to sort of make that the story while Netanyahu's here, so he doesn't have to deal with any of the actual realities on the ground. But
yeah,
Charlie Jerk. Jimmy Dore, days after saying he no longer supports Medicare for all, is saying Trump is actually playing some 4D chess against Netanyahu. Has he completely...
Did he explicitly say that? Yeah, I'd like to quote.
Well, I mean, because he was... The funny thing, I did catch something, some argument, I don't know if it was on Twitter or where, about why he was supporting RFK. Because he's like, I don't care about his position on Israel because he's going to be head of Health and Human Services. And I just remember in the back of my head, I didn't spend much time on it thinking well, what about his... Everybody loves their private health insurance. I mean, he's the head of Health and Human Services. What do you care about? Oh, just the vaccination.
Attention, which is what, why the force the vote thing was a big lie. And
right.
Anyone who subscribed to that or is still harping on that is a big idiot.
And didn't
Nobody
he care
could be
about
still
corruption and billionaires being involved in our government? It's so odd that his voice and those folks don't have anything to does Elon Musk get a special dispensation for the billionaire corruption thing because he's so public?
Jimmy had David Sachs on to support the Silicon Valley Bank bailout, y'all. He's bought by venture capitalists.
Yep. Scott from Detroit, it shouldn't be Sam's job to make the argument that Harris would be 1% better on Gaza. The Harris campaign was unwilling to directly say, we'll be 1% better on Gaza.
I'm afraid to say that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It falls on them. The people that are blaming the voters on this, I mean, come on. It's... The same people right now, and I don't want to be too online about it, so it's a throwaway comment, but the same people that are saying, dunking on the Dearborn voters, we're saying that the Gaza thing was a non-issue during the election. So you have no credibility. Sorry?
It's a guilty conscience. They know that all their actions saying all these people don't matter, F them, blew the election. That's why we're here right now. I mean, I blame a lot of corporate and finance stuff in the years preceding, but acutely 2024, it's because Dem supported Israel over winning an election.
All right. So Charlie Jerk says he explicitly said he wants some kind of insurance for all.
Oh, nice.
Universal health. Yes, that's the
access
classic.
To care.
Yeah, access to care. But he wants private for providers and private doctors, no socialized medicine.
Oh, so ACA expansion?
There were people that marched for Medicare for all said, I don't trust the government to do health care because they're libertarians. I mean, it is a bunch of cranks.
Folks, we got to go. That is our show for today. We will be back tomorrow, MLB, or I'll be here on Friday. And hopefully I'll have my hiccups done and my voice fixed.
Gonna need AI to remove your hiccups.
Bye-bye. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.